welcome to the Knights of Lorcana League. I am your host, Silent Knight, here to bring you a very thrilling match, as I am getting over a cold and therefore have a very deep and very sexy voice. Now, with that being said, though, too, we are going to be looking at a very intense match today in which Nayr0 is going to be going against Hole in the Earth. Now, both these competitors have been fighting hard in these past 2 weeks to try to make an impact on the leaderboard, but yet somehow both have managed to fall a little short. Now, both these guys still have not given up in the fight to make an impact on the leaderboard, and these 0-2 records are looking to get a mighty change, as only one of them can remain and the loser side. As one, of course, is going to be hopefully winning this match, because if they find a way to draw, that's impossible. But it's going to be a very thrilling match for you today, as we have EA piloted by Nayr0 and Ruby Amethyst piloted by Hole in the Earth. Now, this is going to be a very interesting match, especially because of the aggro capabilities that EA typically tends to have. Can be a very fast moving and quick to gain lore action going on with Nayr0. Now, at the same time, with Ruby Amethyst, this is going to be a difficult one as well, because you're going to be seeing a good amount of board control and presence, as this can be a very quick way to counter the EA meta. At the same time, though, it's going to be really coming down to who can manage to get the better card draw, because if you're able to find the answers, able to get the board presence, and able to maintain that all the way till the end, then you have a good chance of being able to take this away. So who is going to win? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, both competitors have done their mulligans, and it looks like it is going to be starting with Hole in the Earth, going with a, wow, friends on the other side with no play one action right here. So right now, Nayr0 is going to be able to make a board presence. Is he going to be able to get some options out onto the board? And it looks like Chernobog's followers is going to be making it out on the board with the ability to be able to quest for one, pop, and draw a card if Nayr0 so chooses. So now Hole in the Earth is going to be having a kind of difficult time trying to get back into this game. Now, of course, this is the very beginning, and so he's going to be, hopefully having a turn two play. You definitely don't want to be missing out on too much. And it seems like he's having a good job putting out a Flynn Rider who is able to gain 3 anytime that the opponent has any less attack than any of his characters on his side of the board. So this is going to be a very quick way for him to then go ahead and swing through and get some good high lore gain, especially as it looks like Nayr0 is going to be going wide. So there's a good chance that if then Hole in the Earth is able to play a Sisu, or even maybe get out something with 3-4 attack, that he can really start to rack up the lore and get things moving. Now, at the same time, Nayr0 is still going to be able to go ahead and get some good card draw going his way. As soon as characters start disappearing, there's a very good chance that he'll be able to replace and add 3 more cards in hand, and with that much more ink being able to be utilized during the game, this can be a very scary board presence right here. But we are seeing a Broom going out, and immediately to answer to the card draw, it looks like Flynn Rider is going to be having a companion on his side, being Sisu, who has the ability to get +1 per each card his opponent has in his hand. So right now, Nayr0 is going to be having a little bit of pressure on his side of the field, as he's going to be mindful of the fact of the matter that he is going to be giving his opponent basically 3 each turn. But I mean, a great answer with that, going out and getting a Cloud Kicker to bounce back the Flynn Rider to hand, slowing down Hole in the Earth for 1 turn, and then questing for 3. Now the big question is he going to then allow any pops to happen? And it looks like no, he's actually willing and able to trade with any of the characters that Sisu might be having. In this case, though, it looks like the Flynn Rider is going to be inked and then going into one of the Chernobog followers. Now, of course, at this point, too, going in with a Fox then is going to be taking out another Chernobog followers. That is 2 cards that Nayr0 was unable to then draw, and a Fox on the field is going to be a very scary board presence, especially because you're not going to necessarily see a Diablo or a Cow Kicker being able to take them out. At the same time, though, this is still going to be some good board presence. And also, though, if a Crab can come out, then the Diablo would be able to get a +3 and swing into the Fox to be able to counteract that ability. But it looks like in this case, he's going to be going for the questing for 1 and is going to be considering some of his options. With no inks used yet, it looks like a Go-Go is going to be going in for ink, followed by something. This is kind of a difficult board presence. Fox is such a scary card to have to go against. But it looks like, yep, the bounce back is going to be going into a Fox, and we might be seeing a Fox on Fox trade if he so chooses. And that's kind of a difficult trade to be able to undertake, especially because it doesn't necessarily feel like a good trade when you were already on the receiving end of the Fox. I mean, you saw right there that, Holy Earth was able to take out 3 characters for pretty much, you know, 1.5, because you did have to bounce one back, of course, and whatnot. And so, I mean, at the same time, though, it's still looking really good. Only a Kick Cloud kicker on the board right there, and it looks like a Chernobog follower is going to be going for ink, and another Sisu is going to be coming out with a Flynn Rider. So some more pressure. Now, at the same time, though, with this being a little bit later in the game, Nayro's not going to have as many cards in hand, especially on the amount of cards that he ended up losing in that last turn of attacks. So this is going to be really interesting to be able to see what then is going to happen. And it looks like that the difficult part here is he's having a lot of 1 drops, but not necessarily any 3, 4, 5 drops outside of, necessarily the kit and things like that. But at the same time, the goat's going to be able to gain him 1. He's going to quest for another one, and he's going to pass, emptying out a lot of his hand. And with the goat on field, that is going to counteract the Flynn Rider, and no lore is going to be gained. So, I mean, at the same time, though, the later the game goes, it almost feels like more and more Hole in the Earth will have a bigger advantage here. And so that's going to be something that he is going to have to keep in mind. So let's see. With 5 ink that is able to be utilized, this could be a very good turn. So it looks like a rabbit's going to be coming out, drawing 1 card. And rabbit can be a very scary card that you can utilize as well, especially because he can sing pretty much any action. 4 cost is a very good singer to be able to have and still be able to utilize the rest of your ink. Now, at the same time, it looks like a brawl is going to be going down for ink as well. And a straight up pass, as the opponent now, Nayr0, is going to be at 7, potentially even more. The longer this game goes, the further and further Hole in the Earth falls behind, but at the same time, this momentum could very well shift pretty easily in a matter of a couple of turns, and especially with now Nayr0 running lower and lower on cards and only having a Diablo out, this could very well start to turn towards Hole in the Earth, but still, Nayr0 being at 10 after this turn, if they so choose, can be a very good presence for them to be able to have. So I'm curious to see what they are going to be able to do to be able to, maintain the momentum that they're shifting once they get to that 10. Because, I mean, really, with now Hole in the Earth being able to develop his board, getting that final 10 ink is going to be very difficult for Nayr0. Still, I'm not going to say it's impossible by any means, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Hole in the Earth, though, still does have an uphill battle to climb here, as at the same time of them wondering what might be going on, he's still down by 7, soon to be 10, and that could be very difficult for him to be able to undertake. Now, at the same time, be prepared and things like that are things that Hole in the Earth can certainly utilize to be able to get back into the game and get control of this board state. And I mean, as soon as that happens, if Nayr0 does not have any of the card draw, then this is going to be a very dangerous game state for him to have to deal with. And it's going to be kind of the same thing when you go against Ruby Sapphire, that they're just going to slowly ink their way and lure their way into victory as their opponent just watches in dismay, unable to do anything to get back into the game. So that's a very difficult situation to be in, but that's okay. There's still plenty of game left, and both opponents are at 5 and 6 ink respectively, and they're going to have a lot of options for them to then be able to do. So let's see. I mean, this is a very long turn of mucking, and really considering what to do here. And so we're going to be seeing what might be going on. Curious myself. So it looks like here we go. We're continuing on. And Hole in the Earth is going to be waiting for his opponent to go ahead and play a rabbit himself, getting some very vital card draw. And hopefully some good answers to continue the aggression. Now, of course, Goat, once that does get destroyed, will be able to gain him 1 lore. And at the same time, when Rabbit gets destroyed too, it will draw him one card. So there's a lot of interesting plays then that can go ahead and be made as this continues to go. So we'll see what ends up happening. Now, the dangerous question here is, do you dare quest? And at the same time, because, both ways, you can choose to go on the defensive and wait for your opponent to then quest and for you to have some answers. Or at the same time, you just go for the aggression, say, hey, I'm going to be at 10, and let me continue to try to pressure in game here and see what's going to happen. So it looks like Hit Cloud Kicker and Diablo are going to be questing here and passing for the turn. Now, at the same time, Hole in the Earth is going to be at the dreadful, if you're actually going against Ruby Amethyst, the dreadful 7, where, if he so chooses, a very important Be Prepared could very well be played. But instead, he's going to be shifting into a Sisu, taking out everything except for a goat. Now, at the same time, that's a great turn, especially for the ability to quest for 3 on that, and a 5 attack, which can be very difficult for EA to then counter. But at the same time, what's going to also be very interesting is that now, Nayr0 was able to draw 2 cards off of that with Diablo and Rabbit, but now it's 1 to 3. And at the same time, what's going to be very interesting about this, and I'm kind of surprised that Hole in the Earth did this. I get the reason for going for the 3 lore, but you're also going to be mindful. You just gave them 2 cards, and they've only played 1 Fox so far. So there's a good chance they can quest for 1, bounce the goat if they so choose, or even take out the rabbit, kind of thing, bounce the goat back, gain a lore, and play a fox and take out the Sisu. That can be a very scary board for them to then deal with. But it looks like a Chernobog follower is going to be down on the field for him to go up to 6 as well. I mean, it's like at this point, though, you got to kind of juggle. Do I risk building up my board? Because anything that I happen to be threatening here at the same time is going to be a little bit dangerous. Now, of course, at the same time, what's really interesting, too, is Go can go ahead and trade into the Sisu as well. You would still, of course, gain off of Flynn Rider as well. But it looks like, yeah, he's looking to keep both on the board, as the Goat will probably go into the Rabbit and the Fox will go into the Sisu, which is going to be a great turn of events right there. Now, at the same time, the Flynn Rider is still going to trigger unless they have some kind of 2 cost that will be able to go off. So this is going to be a difficult predicament for them both to be in. And I'm curious to see what they are then going to be able to do to be able to get back into this game. At the same time, it's like, I'm really curious, especially with Hole in the Earth having 3 cards in hand. That's going to be a little bit difficult of a situation for him, especially with all the card draw that we've been able to see that Nayr0 was able to go for. And of course, he is going to then quest instead with the Go, which, not necessarily is a bad move by any means. It's a good move, but it's like with the board presence, especially with the Rabbit, there's a lot of things that he could definitely utilize with a Rabbit on board instead of just giving the 1 card back. And so that's kind of the risk and reward that you got to go ahead and consider while you are, in a match. So it's really curious to see what's going to be going on here. And this is going to be a very big round for Hole in the Earth. He's down by 6 lore. He has a decent board presence. And at the same time, it's like, what is he necessarily going to be able to do? But getting 2 more answers, of course, with the friends on the other side. He will have 6 ink to be able to deal with this board. And I mean, a goat is going to be a very difficult character to be able to deal with as well, just because both of his characters only have 2 attack, and the goat has 3 willpower, which means this is going to be a very difficult, you know, battle to be able to take out the goat. But then again, a good play playing out a library. Now keep in mind that the library has 8 willpower as well. That's pretty good, especially because, it's going to take the goat 2 turns to be able to take it out. Now, at the same time, too, if they go ahead and move both characters in, they will also be able to then sack these characters and draw multiple cards. So, if a Diablo gets taken out, and if a Rabbit get taken out, then he's going to end up drawing 4 cards, which could be an absolute game changer. Card draw is king in this game. The more cards that you have in hand, the more answers that you have, and therefore the bigger threat that you are. And so this is going to be a very interesting turn of events, and I'm curious to see how Nayr0 is going to be able to respond, because again, this is going to take 2 turns for Goat to be able to take it out. And so right now, it's like the Merfolk are not necessarily going to be too much of a threat, minus of course the ability to gain 2 with every quest. But losing a card, you're almost okay with that. Now, I'm also curious and surprised. I get why he did quest with the Flynn Rider. That's a great turn. But it looks like, yeah, with the cards that he has in hand, he's like, look, Flynn Rider tried its best, wasn't really quite able to go off. The Goat on board, that's a big threat, and the chance of me getting above that is not necessarily going to be all that possible. And that comes back to where, you're kind of wondering, should I have quested with the Sisu? Because the Flynn Rider would be putting in just as much work as the Sisu. And the thing to keep in mind as well is that EA does not have the removal outside of attacks from characters that other colors necessarily have. No one's playing your Welcome anymore, or even the Yzmas or anything like that can remove cards. And so, having a Sisu out on board for a couple of turns to try to really get ahead, get some good board presence, can be, a very viable turn, especially against EA. You're going to be a little bit more weary about removal with other colors when you have your Sisu out on board. But with EA, you're in a very safe spot. If your character's in a ready position, the biggest thing that you really got to worry about is an Elsa, and even then, that's not the biggest threat. You know, you're they're still gonna have to, send in two technically characters to for the trade, and both Elsa and another character would be taken out in that process. So either way, it's really not a too bad of a trade. And these are just again all the things that you are going to be balancing and wondering about as you go throughout your match. So yeah, it looks like the Flynn Rider is going to be taken out, and a card will be drawn by the library. So this is going to be a good turn of events. And it's at the same time, Nayro's getting pretty high, 13 to 5. And so this is going to be a very difficult situation to continue to climb up the ranks. Now, of course, Library is going to be helping getting him up to 6 now. And if he so chooses, he can go ahead and send the rabbit into the um, followers, take it out, draw 2 and discard 1, and then at the same time even go in with a Diablo into the goat, for example, and draw 2 as well, if he so chooses. I mean, that's going to be, getting him 4 more cards to be able to utilize and turn this event around. And also, if any of those cards happen to be even a be prepared as well, if he is running them, then that can just completely turn the game around. And so instead, looks like he's opting to go ahead and go for the questing, and he is going to play the Be Prepared. Now that is going to be just a big turn of events. Great job on that questing right there. Losing out on 2 characters to the banish, and he's going to be drawing 4 cards. Now this is also a really big turn as well, especially because Nayr0 does not have a ton of cards in hand at all. Meanwhile, Hole in the Earth has just skyrocketed in hand draw. His hand is going to be probably having 6 cards in hand at this point. That's going to be an absolute game changer, and a Sisu's going to be coming out, and another Diablo. Now this is going to be scary too, just because of the fact that now Library is also going to be gaining 1 a turn. And so this is going to be a very difficult situation for Nayr0 to come back. And also you got to start being mindful again on, does your opponent have another Be Prepared? I mean, we've seen in a lot of lists that Ruby Amethyst tends to be running around 3. You're not running 4 anymore like in last set. Sometimes you are running 2, but it's a very safe bet that you are going to be running 3. A Bonsai, though, is still a really good board presence. Again, it's like with Nayr0, you're in a difficult situation. Do you just try to get to that 20 as fast as you can in order to get ahead? And that can be a very difficult thing for you to be able to decide. It's like, especially now that your opponent has going on now 6 cards. Now, of course, he's going to gain another one for Library. And this board presence is going to be a scary one, especially with a Medusa coming out, clearing the board. And now with that, he can very well either play another card or just move both into Library for a little reassurance, a little insurance on his cards, as a quest with a Diablo is coming out, and he's going to 10. The climb is real. All of the Earth has been playing this game absolutely well, and this is the impact, excuse me, of what Library can do. Because it's like, look, you can go ahead and Be Prepared my board if you're going against a Ruby Sapphire or things like that, and you're like perfectly fine. I will go ahead and just draw a card for every card destroyed. Now, of course, at the same time, the difficult thing about Library is that you can very well be utilizing a lot of lore. Instead of going wider, you'll just find yourself going um, and spending like 3, for example, to move all of your characters into the library instead of playing something else, which can be a little bit of the risk and reward that you got to mitigate here in your matchup. But right now, it's like Nayr0 is unable to really build all that much of a board presence. He does have 3 cards in hand, which is great, but at the same time, it's like, your opponent is quickly climbing to 20. And I mean, with the Medusas and everything going in, and I mean, right there with the Fox now taking the Medusa back to hand and then playing the Medusa again is going to cause another card to go to the banish. I mean, Hole in the Earth is just playing this great right now. And so he has the ink to be able to continue to utilize. And this is also why at end game as well, Foxes and Snakes can be absolutely vital, being able to bounce back the cards that are able to really move a lot of characters off of the board and get them back to be able to double strike your opponent over and over again. And this is also what makes Blurple so viable as well. You see the same exact plays with Ulsas and things of that nature too. And so in this case, and Ursula coming out for the 7. Now at the same time, Ursula is the only one that can sing songs at this point. But is it too little, too late? Yeah, it's going to be too little, too late. That's going to be all the way to 19. And there is the GOAT for the 20. And just like that, Hole in the Earth climbed up the ranks, getting to 20, stopping Nayr0 in his tracks and taking the first game. All right, so game 2 is going to be a very dangerous one. They have, for Nayr0 at least, he is going to be having the draw here on being worried about losing out on both of his games right here. Now, of course, on the plus side, he is going to be able to go first, and it looks like he's going to be inking a Fox. Ooh, and passing. Oh, that's going to be a little bit dangerous especially because normally with EA, you're wanting to get a Chernobog follower or some kind of 1-drop, and missing on that, especially when you're down a game, can be absolutely detrimental. Now, at the same time, it looks like Hole in the Earth is going to be playing a Broom here and being able to pass as well. And so Nayr0, I mean, he very well could be going in with a Bonsai. He could be going in with a couple of other cards as options, but it looks like a Go-Go is going to be coming out as well, inking a Go-Go. And that's a little scary too, especially because that means Hole in the Earth has a lot less to worry about at the end of the game. There's only 2 more Go-Go's, odds are, in Nayr0's deck for him to be worried about. And it looks like the Broom is going to go ahead and quest for 1. And going to go with a Flynn Rider out onto the board, bouncing the Broom and drawing 1. Now, what was also interesting is inking the Crab, because a Crab can be a very good determiner of getting back that board control. Especially being able to send something in like a Broom, like a Diablo with 3 attack, to be able to take out a bigger threat. That can be a great way to board control. And so, being able to ink the Crab, while that might hurt, it can still continue to progress the game. And a White Rose is going to be coming out, putting, Nayr0 on the board for 1, and then going in and questing with the Go-Go, which has evasive. Now that still is a great turn. Now we haven't also seen any genies. We've seen a lot of rabbits, but we haven't seen any genies. So kind of curious to see what might be happening here. So right now, Hole in the Earth going to be going in. And it looks like, yep, he had a Crab in hand, so Diablo is going to be going. And then he is going to be boosting up the Flynn Rider. Is he going to actually do anything with that, though? Nope, he's just going to go ahead and get the pass. Great turn, of course. Now you're hoping that you're able to continue to get the momentum shift in your favor. You're hoping that also Flynn Rider can start to go off. Now, Nayr0 has done a really good job at stopping that from happening, which can be, a great way to slow down your opponent because, giving them 3 a turn can be absolutely a game changer. I mean, even if Flynn Rider goes off twice and you end up gaining 6, that's a big deal. And that can really be a difference maker. There's not very much that opponents can gain off of 6. That's dangerous. How do you come back from that? Ruby Sapphire does have a little bit of help with Pirates being able to sing that and make your opponent lose 2. But, that's the dangerous thing about gaining lore in this game is like as soon as you gain it, there's not really a whole lot to bring it back down, You might be able to, no one's really running thieveries, for example. That's a red card. Pirates, there's not a whole lot once a lore is gained to take it away. So you got to really weigh your risk and reward here with the Flynn Rider out onto the board. And so right now, Nayr0 has a difficult situation and a difficult choice to make as well. So I'm curious to see what he is going to do to respond to this. Especially, I mean, right now, Hole in the Earth is going to be having 6 cards in hand at the start of his next turn. And so that's a lot of utilization, especially as he starts to go into 4 ink. So that's also the difficult thing because one of the biggest things about EA that really can get it going is the fact that in going first, you are able to play even like a cloud kicker out on something that your opponent plays. And so even bouncing back, a Flynn Rider or something like that can really slow down your opponent. Biggest way to utilize also your cloud kicker is bouncing back a genie. That can absolutely hurt because then your opponent is of course paying 4 to just draw a card, and that can really slow them down. I mean that 2 attack is just perfect to be able to take things out either with brawls or things like that. It's pretty easy to remove genies, which is a difficult thing because if it does get removed, your opponent is just getting slowed down so fast. So it looks like, yeah, he is going to be taking out a fox, removing a go, boosting the fox. But of course, Go-Go has evasive, so there's not a whole lot that he can do. Now, at the same time, though, with Fox out on the field, that means that Flynn Rider is now active and could very well gain 3 lore at the start of Hole in the Earth's turn. So it looks like a Bell is going to actually be utilized here, and an Elsa to go ahead and take out the Flynn Rider. Now, an absolutely great timing right there. And Elsa can actually do, wonders on being able to remove, and that is a big turn for questing right there, going up to 7 in a matter of a turn. And now Elsa also has a very dangerous board presence. Now it's like with Hole in the Earth, do you go ahead and throw Fox into the White Rose? That kind of feels bad, especially with it only gaining 1. I mean, you wish you could throw it into the Genie, but it looks like he's going to be playing a library just in the nick of time, going into the White Rose and drawing a card. Now that's again absolutely great utilization of library, and now he will also be gaining a lore return from the library. Now, of course, they have 6 on the board to be able to do that kind of damage. At the same time, if they even happen to bounce back a go-go, play a fox kind of thing, they would be able to very well take it out in the same turn as well. And so that's just something that you got to be so careful about. So yeah, it looks like Hole in the Earth is going to be moving over the Diablo with 1 ink and then questing with it as well to go up to 3. Now, of course, the 4 lore deficit is not anything to really be worried about, but you're still hoping that you're able to at least start dealing with your opponent's board before it starts getting wider and wider. Now, of course, Nayr0 has to be really careful here because you're keeping in mind that your opponent is at 5. Next turn, they're going to be at 6, and then the following turn, they can just be prepared. So you really have 2 turns on board. And so, again, you got to kind of, seduce. Do they have to be prepared? And you almost plan like they do, and almost start saving your hand a little bit, just in case they might, or you go all in. You try to get up to as close as you can to the 20. So once they be prepared, because normally it's a be prepared and pass. They're not going to be able to get something out, and so you're able to rebuild your board again, which can be very helpful. But right now you're seeing 6 lore on the board that can be quested for on the following turn, putting him up to 13. But I mean, even on this turn, questing for 4, sorry, would put him up to 11. And I mean, this is some pressure right here. I mean, having 3 characters with evasive right now, Hole in the Earth is just needing that be prepared. It cannot come soon enough, especially because his opponent very well could be, at it going for, yeah, like I said, 6. Whew, that's going to be 17. That's dangerous. I mean, luckily he is gaining 1 for the library. That's good. But it looks like, yep, the Flynn Rider is going to be inked. moving the rabbit in, going to be questing for 1, and passing. Now, again, we saw this last turn. The B prep came out. And so is Nayr0 going to be necessarily preparing for that, or is he just going to keep playing characters? Again, that's the risk and reward. It's like, are you going to call the bluff? And that is such a risky moment. And it's like, if you call it right, and he doesn't have the be prepared, that's pretty great because you're pretty much securing the game right then and there. At the same time, if he has the be prep, you're not drawing any cards off of any characters that are out on the board. And so, that's a huge loss. And so it looks like right now he's just going to go ahead and quest going up to 17. And then after that, does he play a card? And he's going to go ahead and pass. He's going to keep his cards in hand. It looks like he potentially has 3 or 4. I think 4 in hand. So that's helpful. That's good. Still, I mean, this is a great time to play the be prepared. Really slow down your opponent. But it's still a difficult situation. 17-6. Hole in the Earth has fallen behind, and he needs to figure out how to get back ahead. He's going to be questing for 2, also gaining 1 off of Library. And then, of course, he's going to go for the Brawl, and then get the be prepared out, drawing again 4 cards. And yes, while his opponent only has a couple of cards in hand, gaining that +4 is going to be absolutely vital. And Library, again, going to be gaining him 1 a turn, which is going to be very helpful. And so, but 17, that's like a goat. A goat and a followers, or not a followers, a merfolk can win the game right there. And that's not a lot of ink. He has the 5 on board. There's the merfolk. There's the Chernabog. You got to be careful again, though, because, I mean, if he has, for example, if he has 2 be prepareds in hand, I mean, the odds of that, again, like most of the time you're running 3 total, but if he has 2 be prepareds in hand, that's the risk you take, though. I mean, because right there, he's threatening game, and at least he's going to be able to gain the a card back if a be prepared is utilized. Right now, though, it looks like he's down to 3 cards in hand. 2 cards in hand? Yeah, 2 cards in hand. And there's the second be prepped again. Now, he's going to be able to at least draw a card off of that. And then he's going to be inking a Friends on the other side. I mean, but the cards that he has is just absolutely insane. But he doesn't have a 1-drop. All those cards in hand and not a single 1-drop. Oh, you sometimes hate to see a little bit, but at the same time, that is a breath of fresh air for Nayr0, but at the same time, that is still a very dangerous thing for him to deal with. Hole in the Earth has 6 cards in hand right then and there, and that is very dangerous. Still, using a Friends on the other side to draw 2 more cards, get him a little bit more utility, but again, that's all 5 of his ink. So he is going to go with a Cloud Kicker and threatening game again. Ooh. I mean, it's like, does he have his 3rd be prepared? 7 cards in hand. Does he have his 3rd be prepared? Can he get it? He's tapping 4. He's tapping 3. Medusa, that's half the battle. Your opponent gets to choose. That's a tough choice, though. That is such a tough choice. He could very well be at 19. And so we're going to see what might happen. But yeah, this is going to be a very difficult situation because if your opponent gets to 19, they just need a white rose or something along those lines to be able to take out and get to that 20 and win the game. So at the same time, Hole in the Earth being at 9. Ooh, this is going to be tough. So curious to see what they are going to be able to do. And so it looks like he might be checking, like, did I actually gain the lore from the library? No, he did not. He didn't. So, but still, your opponent can be at 19, and then I mean, sure, you're going to be able to take care of the threat of Bonsai. Sure. But it's like, unless you have a Fox or a Snake in hand, you're going to be giving your opponent the game. Either way, they're going to be at 19 now. And if they have a GOAT or if they have a Rose, game 2 will be going to Nayr0. And that's going to be an absolutely interesting turn of events right here. So, yep, he's going to be questing up to 19. And now, I mean, you got to expect that Hole in the Earth is holding his breath, but it's just going to be a rabbit. Oh, no. Just going to be a rabbit. Now, the interesting thing is, too, is that the Lady Tremaine has the ability to take out the Bonsai, survive, and then be bounced back and played again to take out the rabbit, which again will still be drawing a lot of cards. But I mean, Nayr0 is so close to being able to win. I mean, just it's like that Star Wars meme, this close to greatness. But no, anyway, but this is a dangerous board for him to be worried about here. And it looks like a goat or crab is going to be inked as the fox gets bounced back. Ooh. And what else could be possibly happening? Double threats of the game, but at the same time, Hole in the Earth, all he needs is a snake or a fox. And he's used one so far. And so he's going to be gaining one, going up to 11 with Library. And then after that, he can quest for 4, going up to 15. And at the same time, again, a B prep would just wipe everything. But, you're just hoping. Got to just ink one, and a fox or a snake will be able to completely rotate a Lady Tremaine here. So, yep, he's going to be moving one in to draw 2. Oh, to take out and still draw 1. Nice. That's a great turn as well. And then another Lady Tremaine in hand to get rid of the fox. 1 ink. Oh my gosh, this is so close. Friends on the other side going down. 2 to move both Lady Tremaines into the or a broom and a Lady Tremaine going up to 14. I mean, and this is the scariest part about Ruby Amethyst. When you get into the late game, Ruby Amethyst is a very difficult deck to really try to build your board back up because they just have so many ways to get things removed. They can pop your entire board. No big deal. That's awesome. If they so choose to pop your entire board, then, they have Lady Tremaines or things like that, which can then also turn the tides in their favor again. And he still is not finding a rose or, or a goat. And right now, our, Hole in the Earth has game on board. And Nayr0 is at 19. But I mean, a Cloud Kicker is coming out. That's going to be bouncing back to hand. The broom. But still, I mean, he's gonna get close. And I mean, heck, if Hole in the Earth then has the goat in hand, that's gonna be very bittersweet. But right now, Nayr0 is so close to game, but he just does not have it, and he has to pass. Hole in the Earth then now gets to 15 and will be able to get to 19, and any goat will be able to do it. And there's the goat! Hole in the Earth taking the match, and game 2. As Nayr0's next card was going to be the GOAT. He was so close to winning right then and there, but it looks like Hole in the Earth takes round 2 and the match. Well, I mean, that was an absolutely thrilling match that we were able to see right there. I mean, Hole in the Earth just was able to get back into both of those games, at some point even being down by 10 lore. At the same time, Nayr0 was playing that game really well, being able to mitigate the risk and reward of a be prepared. But man, he was just so close to being able to get there. And unfortunately, while he was digging for that final card, I mean, he potentially had 6 to 7 outs on winning that game with goats and just happened to miss. And that's just so sad to be able to see. But still, I mean, sometimes that's how the cards play. And that's the thing. Sometimes luck might not be on your side, but still, all the same, this was an absolutely amazing game. And I love how both Hole in the Earth and Nayr0 played this match. I mean, could not have asked for a better cast. I mean, and we saw some really great plays from EA and Ruby Amethyst. So if you guys still want to be a part of this league. Go ahead and join the Discord below because every Monday you will be assigned a match in a best of 3 and be able to participate. It is an absolutely thrilling time, and you will be able to go all the way to the end of the season and qualify for the final tournament, where playmats are going to be part of the winning prize pool. That's going to be absolutely awesome. Custom prize mats from the Knights of Lorcana. As well, if you do like these cast of matches as well as Lorcana content, go ahead and like and subscribe to this video. We love the support, and we'd love to have you a part of this great community. With that being said, guys, till next time, have a good one. All right. Hey, Dragon. Good to have you. Namaste. Yeah, just casting a league match real quick. Getting that taken care of so I can get. I have 3 videos now, or 3 videos to edit and take care of. So good times, good times. Anyway, but yeah, it's been going really well. So anyway, with that being said, I gotta go get things edited now. So until next time, I will see ya.